Before we begin, if you believe that kindness still matters, tap like and subscribe to Black Reveal Stories. Because tonight, one act of compassion will change a life forever. The Stanton mansion stood high above the sleeping city, glass walls glittering under lightning, raindrops crawling down marble columns. Inside that silence, a single light burned. And in that room worked Maya, a woman the world never noticed. For 3 years, Maya had lived in the shadow of the rich. She cleaned their laughter, scrubbed their dreams off the floor, and sent every paycheck to her ailing mother miles away. Tonight, the silence felt different.
Evelyn, hold on!
As if the storm was waiting for her.
I can't!
As Maya dusted the living room, her eyes paused on a framed photo. Richard Stanton, the billionaire, and his wife, Evelyn, smiling as if the world belonged to them. Richard Stanton, a name that could buy anything except time. His wife, Evelyn, 8 months pregnant, lived behind the same walls in lonely silence. Some people really do have everything. Suddenly, a cry, one that didn't belong to the storm. Help! Someone, please.
She was a
Blonde hair and light blue eyes, wearing silk maternity gowns. Her husband was in London finalizing a billion-dollar deal. The guards had left. The house was empty, except for Maya. And in that single heartbeat, she knew no one else was coming. Maya threw her mop aside and ran barefoot up the stairs. Her footsteps echoed like the storm itself. Upstairs, Evelyn, pale face and silk gown, was on the floor gripping her belly, screaming in pain. As Maya dusted the living room, her eyes paused on a framed photo. Richard Stanton.
Sometimes forgiveness is the only path to peace. And in life, sometimes miracles happen.
Could buy anything except time. His wife, Evelyn, 8 months pregnant, lived behind the same walls in lonely silence. Some people really do have everything. Suddenly, a cry, one that didn't belong to the storm. Help! Someone, please! It's too soon! Oh, God, I can't do this alone! Madam, please breathe. I'm here, I won't leave you! Fear faded. Instinct took over. Maya tore bedsheets into strips, lit candles, boiled water on the fireplace. Anything to help this stranger live. 2 women from different worlds. One born to serve, one born to rule, now held on to each other for dear life. As lightning split the sky, Maya whispered, "No one deserves to be alone. Not tonight." What happened next would change both their lives forever. Pause. Don't blink, because the moment that baby takes its first breath, the world inside this mansion will never be the same again. If you haven't already, hit like and subscribe, because the next chapter will shock you. The storm outside was still raging when Ethan Cole, the billionaire husband, stepped into the mansion. His Italian leather shoes left trails of water across the marble floor. He had been gone for hours, closing a multi-million-dollar deal in New York, but the phone call he just received made his heart pound harder than any negotiation ever could. "Your wife's gone into labor," the butler had said, panicked. "There's no doctor here, only the maid." For a man used to control, that sentence was chaos. As Ethan hurried upstairs, the sound of crying, 2 voices, one adult, one newborn, echoed through the corridor. He pushed open the bedroom door and froze. His wife, Sophie Cole, pale and exhausted, was lying in bed, and next to her, kneeling on the carpet, was Maya Thompson, the maid. Her uniform was soaked in sweat and blood. In her trembling hands, wrapped in a soft white towel, was his newborn son. For a moment, time itself stopped. Ethan didn't know whether to thank her or scream. A billionaire's world runs on control. Yet here was a maid who had just rewritten the script of his life. Maya looked up, eyes wide. Exhausted but calm. "He's healthy, sir. Your wife is safe." Her voice broke slightly on the last word. Sophie reached out weakly, holding Maya's wrist. "She saved both of us, Ethan. She didn't even think twice." The baby let out a tiny cry. Ethan's gaze softened for the first time that night. He took the baby in his arms, a mix of disbelief and awe in his face. Then his eyes met Maya's again. Behind that simple maid's uniform, he saw courage, raw, unfiltered humanity, but not everyone in the house saw it that way. From the doorway, Mrs. Clark, the head housekeeper, whispered sharply, "Sir, you shouldn't let her hold the child. It's inappropriate." Maya's smile faded. The atmosphere thickened again, like the thunder pressing against the mansion's walls. But Sophie spoke up, her voice trembling. "She will stay. Maya's the reason I'm alive, and if anyone has a problem with that, they can leave." Even Ethan didn't argue. He just nodded silently. As the night wore on, the house grew quiet. The storm outside calmed, but inside, something new was brewing, something invisible, yet powerful. Gratitude, respect, and something deeper that Ethan couldn't name yet. Before dawn, Ethan found Maya in the kitchen, washing blood-stained towels in silence. He stood in the doorway, unsure how to begin. "Maya, what you did tonight, no one could have done that." "I owe you my family's life." She didn't look up. "You don't owe me anything, sir. I only did what was right." Ethan watched her hands, calloused, trembling, moving in rhythm with the faucet's sound. For a man surrounded by luxury, it was the first time he'd seen true grace. Then softly he said, "You'll never have to work another day in your life." Maya froze. She turned slowly toward him, eyes filled with disbelief. "Sir, I don't understand." Ethan smiled faintly. "You will. In the morning. Pause. Soft piano. Fade in of rain." As Ethan walked away, Maya's reflection shimmered in the kitchen window. Behind her, dawn's first light touched the silver walls of the mansion. She didn't know it yet, but by saving one life tonight, she had just changed her own forever. What happened next would change both their lives forever. Pause. Don't blink, because the moment that baby takes its first breath, the world inside this mansion will never be the same again. If you haven't already, hit like and subscribe, because the next chapter will shock you. Next morning, sunlight spilled into the mansion's marble hallway. The air was calm, but something had changed. Mr. Raymond Cole stood at the top of the staircase, a crisp suit, unreadable face. Beside him, Clara stood quietly, holding the newborn wrapped in white silk. She expected to be dismissed, maybe even punished for stepping beyond her place. But instead, he said softly, "Clara, come with me." They walked through the long glass corridor, past portraits of power, wealth, and generations of privilege. At the end of it, a massive oak door opened, revealing his private study. He gestured for her to sit. For the first time, she saw hesitation in his eyes. "You saved my wife and my child," he said slowly. "Tell me, Clara, what do you want?" Her voice trembled. "Sir, I don't want anything. I just did what anyone would do." He studied her face, the honesty, the exhaustion, the quiet strength. Then he reached for a small black box on the desk and opened it. Inside, a set of keys gleamed in the morning light. "These are yours," he said. "A house and a new beginning." Clara froze, her breath caught between disbelief and gratitude. She whispered, "Why me?" He looked at her almost ashamed. "Because sometimes the people we ignore are the ones who remind us what being human means." Silence filled the room, heavy, real, unspoken. Then from the hallway, the soft cry of the baby broke the moment. Clara turned toward the sound, a faint smile touching her lips. "I should go to him," she said gently. Raymond nodded, his voice quieter now. "Yes, he'll need someone like you." As she stepped away, he whispered to himself, "We all do." If you haven't already, hit like and subscribe, because what happens next will change everything. The next morning, sunlight filled the mansion's marble halls. After the chaos of the night, everything seemed calm, but nothing felt the same. Mr. Ethan Cole stood at the top of the grand staircase, quiet and unreadable. Below him, Maya held the newborn gently in her arms. She expected anger, maybe even punishment for stepping beyond her place, but instead, he spoke softly. "Maya, come with me." They walked through the long corridor, past portraits of power and pride. At the end, he opened the door to his private study. "You saved my wife and my child," he said. "Tell me, Maya, what do you want?" Her voice trembled. "Sir, I don't want anything. I just did what anyone would do." He looked at her carefully, then opened a small black box on his desk. Inside was a shining key. "These are yours," he said. "A house and a new beginning." Maya froze. Her eyes filled with tears. "Why me?" she whispered. He looked away, almost ashamed, because sometimes the people we ignore are the ones who remind us what being human means. Silence filled the room. Then, the soft cry of the baby broke it. Maya smiled gently. "I should go to him," she said. Ethan nodded. "Yes. He'll need someone like you." As she walked away, his voice faded. "We all do. If you haven't already, hit like and subscribe, because what happens next will change everything." Weeks passed. The storm was gone, but something in the Stanton mansion had changed forever. Maya no longer wore her maid's uniform. Now she walked through the golden halls in soft pastel dresses Evelyn had gifted her. Not as a servant, but as part of the family. Every morning, she visited the nursery and where baby Noah, the child she once helped bring into this world, smiled at her like she was his whole sky. Evelyn would often say, "He only sleeps when you hold him, Maya," and Maya would laugh, whispering, "That's because he knows my hands once held his first breath." One afternoon, Ethan stepped quietly into the room. He stood for a long moment, watching her cradle the baby with love no money could buy. Then he said softly, "Maya, you've given this family more than anyone ever has. We want you to stay, not as an employee, but as family." Maya froze. Her voice trembled. "Sir, I don't know what to say." Ethan smiled. "Then don't. Just promise me one thing. Never stop being who you are." She stepped outside later that evening, sunlight painting the garden in shades of orange and gold. For the first time, she felt free. And maybe you can feel it too. If you were in Maya's place, poor, invisible, ignored, and suddenly given a new life, what would you do? Would you forgive the world that once forgot you? Or walk away and never look back? Tell us in the comments below, because your heart might answer differently than you think. Maya looked up at the sunset and whispered, "Sometimes life doesn't wait for miracles. It makes them." If you felt something in your heart right now, don't leave without hitting like and subscribe, because the next story will remind you. Kindness doesn't just change one life. It changes generations.